Hello and welcome. As students of the Europe Hotel School, you are on the path to becoming true leaders in this industry. My goal here is to help bridge the gap between what you learn in the classroom and the real-world pressures you'll face at the front desk. So today, we're going to dive into a really crucial skill, mastering your own productivity. You know how it is. The front desk can be a whirlwind of activity, right? Phones are ringing off the hook, guests are arriving, emails are flooding your inbox. It's so easy to feel constantly busy. But here's the question that really separates the good from the great. Are you just busy or are you actually being productive? Figuring out that difference is the key to thriving in your role, not just surviving it. All right, so first things first, let's start by tackling a really common trap. We're going to dismantle what I like to call the productivity myth, this idea that our effectiveness is completely at the mercy of everything happening around us. And it's a totally natural assumption to make. When things get chaotic, it's just human nature to look outside of ourselves for the reason. We start thinking, oh, if only there were fewer guests, or if this computer system was just a little bit faster, I could get so much more done. We start pointing to all these factors that seem completely out of our hands. And look, these factors are absolutely real. A sudden busload of guests checking in, being short-staffed on a holiday weekend, or a slow property management system, these things create serious pressure. Nobody is denying that. But here's the secret. They influence your workload for sure, but they don't get the final say on your personal performance. So if all those external pressures aren't the whole story, then what is? Well, it's about shifting our focus inward. It's about taking command of what I call your internal control center, because that is where your real power lies. This quote just brilliantly illustrates our goal. See, true productivity isn't about frantically rushing around and looking busy. It's all about efficiency, it's about accuracy, and it's about maintaining that calm, professional composure even when things get hectic. It's about working with intention, not just reacting to whatever's thrown at you. Here's the crucial distinction you need to make. Think of it this way. The waves of external factors, they will always crash against the front desk. They set the pace. But your internal controls, how you choose to navigate that chaos, that is what ultimately determines your success. So what does this internal control actually look like in practice? Well, it really boils down to three key areas. First up, it's how you process information. Taking in a guest's request and quickly deciding on the next logical step. Second, it's how you prioritize tasks. When 5 things need your attention at once, which one do you tackle first and why? And third, it's how you allocate your time, managing your minutes and hours effectively throughout your shift. Mastering these three is the absolute key to unlocking your potential. Okay, so you might be thinking, great, but how do I actually strengthen these internal controls? Well, it starts with a simple but honestly an incredibly powerful habit. Let's talk about the power of reflection. This is the foundation of all professional growth, I promise you. And the best part is, this doesn't need to be some complicated, time-consuming process. Seriously, we're talking about just 2 minutes at the end of every single shift. That's it. A quick moment to pause, ask yourself a few simple questions, and just jot down some thoughts. This small, consistent habit is what builds awareness and stops the same frustrations from happening over and over again. And these are the kinds of questions you want to be asking yourself. Was it a specific type of guest inquiry that just took way too long? Did you handle a difficult complaint with real grace? Hey, that's a win. Did you forget to update a reservation note? And this one is critical. Are you seeing the same exact problem pop up again and again? Because that's a huge signal that you need a better process. And please, don't just think about it. Write it down. Our memories, especially after a long, crazy busy shift, they can be pretty unreliable, right? But when you write things down, patterns start to emerge that are otherwise totally invisible. You might suddenly realize that every Tuesday afternoon, you get overwhelmed by the same type of request. That's not just a random event, that's a pattern. And a pattern is something you can prepare for. Okay, so reflection is step 1. It's where you get your data. But data is pretty useless if you don't do anything with it, right? So the next step is turning that data into action. And that brings us to setting your weekly goals. This is how you create real, tangible progress. And look, your goals don't have to be these huge, monumental things. These should be simple, specific, and measurable. Maybe you aim to cut your average check-in time by just 15 seconds. Or maybe you focus on making one more upsell attempt per shift than you did last week. It's the small, consistent improvements that lead to big results over time. Think about it. A vague goal like, I'm going to get better at my job. I mean, what does that even mean? It's impossible to track, and it just leads to frustration. But a specific goal, like
I'm going to reduce my check-in errors by 50% this month. Now that's something you can actually see. And when you see that progress, it builds the confidence and the motivation you need to keep pushing forward.
So let's start to bring all this together. If there's one single thing you take away from our time today, it should be this. Productivity isn't some innate talent. You are not born organized or disorganized. Productivity is a skill, and just like any other skill, it can be learned, it can be practiced, and it can be sharpened. And listen, as you start practicing this new mindset, you are going to make mistakes, and that is 100% okay. Every single error is simply an opportunity to reflect, to learn, and to refine your approach for the next time. A mistake isn't evidence of failure, it's just data for getting better. And this right here, this is the transformation we're aiming for. When you adopt this reflective, goal-oriented mindset, the pressure of the front desk doesn't just disappear, but it changes. It becomes a challenge that you feel equipped and ready to handle. Your work feels more organized, your confidence grows, and honestly, the role becomes so much more enjoyable and rewarding.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. Please, don't try to change everything all at once. Based on everything we've talked about, what is the one small habit you can focus on refining this week? Is it going to be that 2-minute reflection? Is it how you prioritize tasks during a rush? Pick one thing and just start there, because that's how real, lasting progress begins. Thank you.